All right, welcome back to the Built to Grow podcast. I'm your host, Tim Lyons, joined by Randy Angston. Is that a new watch?
Newer, yeah.
Like a copper one?
Yeah, like I don't know what they called it, bronze something, but yeah, the 5130s that we're fans of.
Dude, I have so many. I've like 12.
Oh, do you? Yeah,
Yeah, they have a whole case of
4 or 5 now.
Yeah, people love those watches.
I have
Like every time I
compliments every
wear it. Problem is the battery dies so fast.
Constantly.
Yeah. So I probably have 12 and maybe 11 are dead.
But that one good one that's out all the wrist.
Well,
all the wrist all the
I
time.
check the time on my phone anyway, for being honest.
Yeah.
I don't really look at a watch.
It's like wearing a bracelet.
Yeah. Stoops, magoops. All right, quick episode today, really quick, but you know what? Very valuable because apparently a lot of people struggle with this, and that is time blocking. What does that mean?
Oh, yeah. Structuring time. I don't remember who said it to us recently, but one of the best analogies for, business and working on the business versus working in it was you don't repair a car while driving it.
Yeah, that's good.
And I guess you don't, build the performance of a car while driving it typically. But, that carries over into business, meaning that if you're not setting intentional time, if you're not setting blocks of time on your calendar to address the growth, the future, the next marketing play, the retention strategies, the whatever it may be, the chances of that happening are nil, you know?
Yeah. And listen, I think this kind of might stem from some of our Iron Circle calls where we're missing some folks on those calls. And why? Because they're, something came up, right? And they're not intentional with their time.
Well, and that's a good one too. Like just to kind of lay the framework and why to us that it's kind of a reason to talk about is because we've got a global call. It's once a month at the same time every single month. Mm-hmm. And to you and I, it's surprising that a business owner can't schedule that something it's on the schedule for the next year. You can't. Why can you not make that call?
Yeah.
If it was something that happened that day and a car crash into your gym or something like that, which is relevant.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, but that stuff we can understand. But if it's month after month that you as a business owner don't have the ability to structure 1 hour of your month to the growth of your business, what are you doing?
Yeah. So I live and die by the Google Calendar. Uh-huh. You as well. And I know how much I live and die by it because sometimes there's an Outlook meeting that never gets to my Google Calendar for some reason. Like I accepted it on an email and I just expected it to be over there, didn't double check, and I no-showed to a meeting. Like that's happened to me 6 times this last year.
Sure.
Especially with the Keep folks, because I have a PAG call with those guys all the time, but they never get it. It never gets to my... So I have to physically go and put it in, copy and paste the link and do all that stuff. But if it's not on the Google Calendar, usually it's not in my life, right?
Even to the point of the conversations I have. Like somebody's like, hey, can you talk next week? I go, yeah, absolutely. But rather than us just talk about it, just grab a time. Like here's the link. Just grab a time on the schedule because next week, with everything that's going on, I'm working from that calendar.
Yeah.
You know where to be. I don't have to think about where I got to be and when and all of that stuff. No, let's go right to the brass tacks of it. And now it's on the calendar and non-negotiable.
Well, it's designing your life,
yeah,
right? It's
100%.
Designing your life from your internal schedule, but also, things like automation through bill pays and things like that just allow you to operate in this zone where you're not thinking about the next, like I have every single one of my houses on auto pays on everything, water, gas, electricity, mortgage, insurance. It's all happening in real time. But there was 2 months in the beginning when I first set up these accounts that I missed the payment because I didn't have that bill in front of me and I didn't know it was there or whatever. And my gas turned off up at the cabin, like on accident, but it just tells me I'm so freaking fine tuned on those stuff, but it allows me to free up my headspace and work on the business, work on projects, work on things without, for example, we were going to cut out of here, but we wanted to shoot another, I looked at my schedule. Yep. I got 30 extra minutes. Let's just do another, but without that being on my schedule, that would be guessing.
It could have took 15 minutes for you to figure out if you had something else to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, guys, this is such a prevalent topic that the way that we designed our coaching program, we start with mindset and we include time blocking and forcing your calendar, structuring your day as one of the first concepts that we teach everybody. I did a lesson on that in the Forge that's going to be coming out. The reason it's so important is because business is intentionality. Like if we want to force the growth of a bit of the business, we need to spend time in that seat doing it. We're finding that more and more gym owners, I mean, even to the Iron Circle level, are still spending the time in certain components of the delivery of the business. They're in the day-to-day operations to a point where the last thing that they're working on is what comes next for the business as a whole. And if you're leaving the most important tasks to the time you
have remaining,
the time that you have remaining, because that's you're not choosing that time. Everyone else is choosing that time for you, at this point. And if you're allowing the growth of your business to be dictated by the scraps, as opposed to where you, as the business owner, should be spending the majority of your time. And being able to force that calendar, structure your day. I take everyone through the same exact thing. And this is how I would recommend you do it. Right now, if you don't know where every hour of your day is being spent, you need to do a time audit and be hyper diligent, hyper clear on where your time is being spent. I'm going to challenge you because office time is not clear. When we work with gym owners and they come back and they give me a block of time that's like, oh, I'm in the office from this time to this time working on office things. Well, what does that define? What do you define that as? Follow-up emails to prospects. I'm designing, the marketing component for the next quarter. I'm
paying bills.
Yeah, whatever that actual task that you're doing, it needs to be that clear.
Yep.
Now I'm going to hear, we always hear the pushback that, that sounds like stress, and that structure creates freedom. Right now, you don't have freedom. You don't have the freedom of time because everybody else is absorbing all those tasks, the putting out fires that you do every day. That's not your job. Your job is not just to show up and put out fires and go home and go, all right, cool, tomorrow I'm going to do it again. You're a business owner. You need to value your time like a doctor, like an attorney, like that. The impact that you have on the business as a whole is nobody in your business has a greater impact. And your time needs to be spent with that kind of thought in mind. And when you start to force your calendar, after you've done that time audit, automate, delegate, and eliminate. Right off the bat, eliminates the easiest. What am I doing that I shouldn't be doing? Whether it's, I lost 20 minutes today scrolling Facebook, or, I don't know, you whatever it may be. Those are the easy ones. Automate what can happen on a system. What can I move to a system? I always joke that my underwear and socks are automatically delivered to me every 3 months. It's simple. It's not something I have to think about, but I'm never running around with a hole in my sock. You know what I mean? As simple as something like that is, because I've just moved it to an automation like bill pay, right? But what that does is it frees up not only your physical time. I'm not spending time going on and ordering that stuff or going to the store and picking it up. Not spending time jumping from one pay, having to pay all the bills. Oh, God. Because it's automated. Yeah. But that also frees up physical time, but it also frees up your mental capacity.
There you
go. You as a business owner, you got a lot of stuff on the plate. And to have all of that cyclical noise of all of the little things that have to happen because you haven't put it on a system, or delegate and put it on an individual within the business that should be doing it, an admin, maybe you have an assistant, maybe it's the front desk that can handle some of this stuff. Maybe your training staff or fitness director has some of these roles and responsibilities. But you as the business owner have to decide what of these tasks should be on my plate and what do I need to get off of my plate. Once that happens, you're going to have gaps in your schedule. That's when you fill that and force that, block it off, set aside time, and then be very diligent about the work you're doing in that time.
Yep. Block it off, run in sprints, put a project on there. I mean, you see, whenever I have a big presentation coming up, I'll block presentation development time because it'll never happen.
No.
I mean, I'll get to the last day and there'll be nothing done. So you have to force that. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting that this isn't kind of a common knowledge kind of thing. Like, we have to teach this a lot to a lot of folks because you nailed it. The firefighter hat goes on, they get in the business, they get derailed. They got the dreaded 5 words. Somebody knocks on your door, pops their head in. Do you got a minute? Like that becomes 15 minutes and then it's gone. And then you forgot what you were doing. It's like, look, I've been there too. Like I had to do it back then. I had an open door policy. All the clients come in and I would never get anything done until everybody was gone or in the middle of the day. And then I would get my work done, which, listen,
but again, it left you the little bit as opposed to
the time that you really needed. But the other side of it is You allow that to happen because a lot of times you don't have enough direction for you to force block your calendar because you don't have a project you're working on. You don't have a direction in your business. You don't have clarity. So when you don't have clarity, you can't force block time off because you don't have anything to work on. But if you have a project, that's easy, right? So the clarity comes from a lot of things. But when you have a business that the recurring revenue exceeds base operating expenses, that's probably the most clear you're ever going to get in your business. The day that happens, everything changes.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the first things we work on with any new gym is how do we get that recurring revenue up to a point where all of your expenses are paid regardless of making a sale this month. Like that's the best feeling in the world. So then having the drive and vision of where do I want to take this business? Because if you're the CEO, the owner, you're the visionary. You have to be the one that's saying, hey, this is the direction we're going. The team gets on board, and then every move you make has to fulfill that, mission. And that's the only way to do it. Mike
Michalowicz, when he was at our Orlando event with the Iron Circle last year, he said, as the business owner, your job is the who, not the how, right?
Yeah.
And, like the book kind of says, but like your job is, if something has to happen in the business, your first thought has to be who can fulfill this need, or how can this be done, whether it be a system or a staff member that's not on you, right? Like you come up with the idea, you look at the business and you look at it's like playing chess, right? Like which one of these pieces can manage and handle the task at hand.
Yep.
But if you as the owner are always the one that's going and jumping in and saying, oh, I need to do this and I need to do this.
I got to learn that.
Yeah. You're absolutely failing your business.
Yep.
And you're putting way too much, work and stress and all of that stuff on your plate, and it doesn't need to be there.
Yep.
I go back, like I use Dell as the example. Like to me, his revenue exploded. His ability to remove himself from the day-to-day operations all became clear and a reality because that structure that he created, he then dictated how his life and how the business was going to be run. It wasn't the other way around. It wasn't just having to do the work and, grind the grind it out because nobody else can do it, or you know what I mean? Like, you got to get out of your own way.
It took him jumping he was ready to close his businesses. He was ready. He was like on the edge. It took him joining our coaching program to kind of shift his mindset, have a business come out of the back end of that thing that he enjoys and loves. And, I got to get him on a call.
He's happy to tell that story, and we'll definitely get him on a call and share that with everyone else because exactly
he was there.
He said he resented his business. He dreaded the task that he had to do every day and just going in the four walls.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, again, been there too. There's been times where I'm like, fuck, screw this. Let's shut it down. Let's go sell flowers in the corner. Yeah. Seashells by the seashore. It could be there's a lot of easier businesses than fitness. In fact, most businesses are easier than fitness. It's just ridiculous. Some of the stuff, especially like widgets, just creating widgets and selling widgets. It's just an easier job.
Thingamabobs
and whatchamacallits. And, but at the end of the day, cause we're dealing with so many emotions and people and psychology and everything else, but that's beside the point. The point of this episode is, you have to have a vision. You have to block your time. And if you don't block your time, everybody else is going to take your time, and then you'll never be able to grow that business because you can only do it with what's left. Force your calendar. We're big proponents of it. Use something like Google Calendar. It's free. Apple, calendars and everything else. There's a million of them. And almost go as far as if it doesn't get on that calendar, it doesn't happen. For example, your conversation, somebody wants to talk to you. Hey, I got Wednesday of next week. I sent them the link.
Yeah.
Just find a time that works for you. Click it. It'll end up on my calendar, and then we're done.
As we're talking about this, the last person that was introduced to me that I had that conversation with that hasn't booked yet, exactly for that reason. Now I know I have to go do a follow-up conversation because they didn't take the action on the calendar. Therefore, I'm not having that conversation. Yeah. I got to go back to the beginning, right? And just drum up the reason that they want to talk.
Yep.
But because they didn't put themselves on the calendar, they're just floating in the abyss, waiting for the conversation to happen,
and then never getting help,
Yeah.
So, well, that's it, guys. Simple, It's to the point, force your calendar for all the right reasons. And that's it for this episode. Until next time, keep changing lives. We'll see you on the next show. Bye.
All right, and thank you for listening to that episode of the Built to Grow podcast, where we help gym owners win. Now, do you want to connect with me and other gym owners online? All you need to do is join our private Facebook group, Business Talk with Fitness Professionals. Just head on over to Facebook and type in Business Talk with Fitness Professionals, and when you do, we're going to give you our 10 marketing strategies 7-figure gym owners use to win. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Until then, keep building something great.